How is everybody doing today? Welcome to the Making Awesome Podcast, Season 3, Episode 33. Doing it a little bit earlier this week than normal. I know. I've got some stuff to do this afternoon and have to pretty much be done with this so that I can get that done. So it's life sometimes. If you are new here and you're looking to learn all about this whole thing that is budgeting for your clients, and apparently the cat walking all over my keyboard, make sure to leave a like and get subscribed. Yes, Miss Kitty, I know we're streaming, so that means you have to either be a good girl or you have to leave because I don't have time for BS today. And that's most people here hanging out in the chat. We got Ram Online, Darkening Shadow 32. Let's see. Domination? Sure, we'll go with that. Domintartian? Honestly, y'all have hard names to pronounce sometimes. I'm sorry. Justin Miller, Mr. Chris Catlett, Worst Peter, Joe Mars here. So thank you all for coming over and hanging out. This one is a complicated one. You might say, well, Grant, I don't need to budget for my clients. They should know what their budgets are. Oftentimes, they have no clue what their budgets are. And they're looking for some level of assistance. Ben, did you seriously wake up for this? It's like 2 o'clock in the morning for you. Oh, thanks for hanging, but broski. Oh, Jesus, cat. The cat just moved the thing. All right, cat. No. All right. Say goodbye to the cat. At least for now, until she tries to jump up on my keyboard again. The cat stepped on the mouse and moved the move the video over. Gotta love it. Cats are great. Cats are just absolutely great. Also, I am apparently not my vertical system isn't working. That sucks. Give me just a second to get that thing sorted. But yeah, we're gonna be talking all about budgeting because ultimately we have to get that right. If you can't get the budgeting side of it right, then realistically, it doesn't matter. If someone comes to you to ask to quote out a project, and often that is, hey, can you make this? We're going to pretty much say yes every single time, right? The thing is that it doesn't really matter. Because they don't know, and neither do you. And this can be a problem. Because in a maker business, especially maker businesses, everything is custom. And when literally everything is custom, it doesn't matter. At some point, you'll just start guessing. And that might work, but chances are it's not going to. And you have to look at what you can change to do better about it. I got to check something really fast. Give me just a minute. Because it appears that my... So we do 2 recordings of this, and one of them is a cut down of the stream. And so I need to verify that it's working or not. It is literally not working. Oh, that sucks. That is unfortunate. How else do I want to do this? Oh, well, I guess we're not going to have any cut downs of this. And this one's really important to have cut downs of. Oh well. But yeah, if you are hanging out here, click that like button while I try to figure out why my vertical video isn't working. It doesn't matter for you guys, but it matters if we want to produce further content from these episodes without it being crazy. I guess I can just make time codes for Andrew. I guess. I don't know where... Well, here. I'm sorry, this is going to take me just a second. Welcome to Welcome to Doing Stuff Live. Sorry, guys. So that should... Oh, hey, cool. All right, I got it. Let me just adjust some things, and I can probably call it okay. Cool. I didn't think it was going to be that fast for me to do it. That's beautiful. All right. Sweet. I got it. And I need to flip horizontal. Beautiful. All right. We're set. That's what I needed to do. Oh, that makes me feel so much better. I'm sorry, guys. I know you're here for a live show, and I'm screwing it up. Welcome to live shows sometimes, you know. All right. Cool. We got it. Pro streamers. Yeah, and I'm even doing something that you all can't even see. That the worst part about this is you guys can't even see what I'm doing. But that's okay. It happens. So, let's get back to it. The cat's gone, unfortunately. So if you showed up late, you missed the cat. Your editor got the Wux and... No, my editor, he got a SV06. Andrew got an SV06. All right. That's why I pay Andrew the big bucks. It's why Andrew is literally the most expensive staff member that we've had. That should tell you how much work we do for YouTube versus clients. Like, we do more work on editing than we do work for clients. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's the truth. So, yeah. Worse, Peter says, sounds like an Andrew problem to me. Hey, Catlet, tag Andrew and see if that should be an Andrew problem, because I'm going to have a feeling that Andrew says that's a Grant problem unless Grant wants to pay for it to be an Andrew problem, which is technically the right answer, because Andrew does have to set some sort of expectation. And with some editors, you'll see, like, if you go to get an editor online, like you go to Fiverr, Upwork, they'll say it's $50 to edit a video. They're hoping that they can get it done in a certain amount of time, because if they can't, they've just lost money. They're making less money per hour. But the big things when you look at budgeting are things like being able to set expectations, because that really, really matters. Then you have to look at how you deal with scope changes, because chances are the client's going to get to thinking after they've been, you know, going through this. And you might need to make some adjustments to that quote, because you're going to need it. You know, contracts, are they even necessary? And why budgeting will help with accountability, not just for them, but for you. And there can be some downsides to it. The big one is obviously if you don't know how to do it, or you're kind of guessing initially, it will start to kind of eat into you. And a lot of this comes back to understanding your value and your price, which we talked about last week. One of the mods can link it, but we talked about it last week. And the big thing about budgeting is you must know your price and what your time is valued at before you can do that. Because ultimately, we run into this issue of having your budget not equal the rate that you want to pay yourself. And if that means you don't take that money out of the business initially and you just put it back into it, and that's how you fund the business initially, is with the work that you do, you don't take any money out of it, so you maintain more cash in the company, that's okay. But that doesn't mean you should accept a lower rate. So let's get into this idea of budgeting, because it is way more important than you think. And based on my understanding of it, it was way more important than even I understood. And that makes it really valuable for us to talk about. The goal was to actually be talking about like the state of 3D printing, kind of talk about the first quarter of 23 this week. That was my goal. But I had a meeting on Thursday with my business mentor, Scott. So hi, Scott, if you're listening, I'll see you in a couple of hours. But he said, you know, Grant, you don't have a pricing problem. You've got a budgeting problem. And it's not you budgeting that's the problem. It's you budgeting to your clients. Because the work that you do is so unique and special, it means that you have a really hard time telling people, oh, the project is going to cost this much. And my answer was, well, yeah, of course I do. Because I don't know the answer. He's like, but do you not know the answer? Or are you just not willing to stick to something? I said, well, I'm normally not willing to stick to something. Because oftentimes we get a lot of scope creep. He said, well, then you change your budget. I said, yeah, but oftentimes that pisses them off because I gave them a number. He said, let me guess. You're not putting these in contracts, are you? I said, well, no. If the jobs are under X amount of money, and for us it's normally $500 to $1,000, if it's under that amount, you pay that all up front. And I don't care. If you make a scope creep, I'm just going to charge you more on the back end. But if the project is above it, we do normally have a contract, unless you're like government or something like that, where I know how to get my money. I just show up and say, here's my invoice, pay me now, please. Or, based on whatever terms we've agreed to. So, yeah, Eskimo's asking, will pricing your work /STL files also be a topic today? That was last week. We didn't talk too much about STL, like pricing STL files. That one is a very tough one. It depends on how big your audience is, because I feel like the larger your audience is, the less money that you can afford to charge for your files, because you're going to play an economies of scale game. But you have to make sure that your time is going to be valued, but you're also not going to price the product too far above market. Assume what I'm talking about last week, all about your pricing, is just about STL files, and I think it should work out pretty well. Yeah, that's a tough one. And Ben is saying that he had to move from quotes to estimates for exactly those reasons. One offered niche projects with not a way to accurately determine time and materials, combined with customers moving the goalposts. Yeah, that can really eat you away. And so we went down this road of, well, what matters when it comes to budgeting? And the big thing is accountability. You are not only holding yourself accountable for the amount of work that you intend to do and the amount of time that you intend to take on it, but they are being held accountable for the fact that these are the deliverables that they've requested. We don't do contracts for a lot of jobs. We don't often do jobs that expensive. But when we do, the contracts are 100% custom and cost me a fair bit of money. And in fact, I'm going to be talking with an attorney this coming week to really discuss how we can better, kind of challenge our contracts, because I have to basically rewrite the whole damn contract, and I don't want to do that. So we often don't do contracts and just take a massive like a 50% upfront on the project, knowing that our profit margins will mean, even if they don't pay the back half, I'm not going to lose money. I'm not going to make a ton of money, but I'm not going to lose it. So, that's the way we've done it, which is not the right way, to be very clear. For those that don't know, I don't always know what I'm doing. And I know that sometimes the confidence can come off as I know what I'm doing, but oftentimes I'm still kind of effing around and finding out. And as long as I'm documenting said procedure, it is more science than it is screwing around. That's a very loosely Adam Savage quote. And my brother says, no, we know that. Thanks, John. Thanks, partial owner of this company. Thanks. So yeah, there's more to it. Decision making and what all that looks like. It is complicated, because there are decision makers that need to have expectations that are reasonable. And if they don't have those reasonable expectations, then they're not going to be ready to pull the trigger either. If you were to buy something, like I had a custom piece of art made. I forget her Instagram. I know her name is Emma. John, if you can find the Instagram artist that did the picture of Victoria and post that, that'd be wonderful. But I found an Instagram artist that does great colored pencil drawings. And I asked how much it would be for a commission. She said, oh, an 8x10 drawn at an 8.5 by 11. So it's matted down to an 8x10. That would be $55. I said, shit, done. Because I think there's way more time in that. Obviously, she doesn't, and she's happy with that amount of money. But if someone had said, oh, well, I don't know. It's going to take me a few hours, so I don't know. It's going to be under $200. I'm going to be a little apprehensive about that because maybe I don't want to pay $200, but $150 and under would be fine. But negotiating with artists, it's not a good move because an artist doesn't work for free, and they shouldn't. And if they are, it's time to get a new artist because they don't value their time, and in turn, I don't know if they value your time. That one's a little bit harder to describe because it's more of a personal feeling than anything else, but you got to make sure you value your time because if you don't, when you go to budget, you're going to be woefully under where you need to be, and the client's not going to like that. That's bad news bears. So let's take a look at these expectations because clients really do need to understand what's going on. They have an expectation in their mind of what they want to pay. This could be $25, $30, $40, $50, or it could be $25, $30, $40, $50, $100, although that would be $4,000, $5,000. You don't know that. And it is kind of odd to ask people, well, hey, what is your budget for this project? And I've gotten used to doing this more often because some people might say, oh, well, you're just trying to get every nickel and dime out of me. No, actually, I'm trying to figure out if it's even worth my time to quote you before we go down this path. Because if it's not worth my time, I'm not going to do it. Thank you. Art by Emma. Beth, I think is how she goes by. Now I'm going to have to click it and find out. Yeah, it is. Art by Emma Beth. I was right. Ha. I'm smarter than I look. But, if they don't have an understanding and you don't have an understanding of what they're willing to spend, then it's not going to work. Like the guy that called me a couple of weeks back to do a front bumper for his S14 Sylvia, a Nissan 240, S14. And he only wanted to pay $400 for it. I told him to pack sand because I'm not going to waste my time on that. He's like, well, you're just trying to get every dime out of me. I said, no, I'm trying to decide if you actually want to pay $6,000 to $7,000 for a stupid bumper for your car when you can go to the junkyard, get one that's already mangled up a little bit and fix it with fiberglass or carbon fiber. Because I don't think you understand the amount of effort. Now, I was certainly not that mean to him, but I wasn't as nice when I found out that he only had $400. Because, oh yeah, I had to custom design it too. And asking that budget means that I didn't waste all of my time asking him these questions. I was able to, from a phone call, get the answers that I needed to decide if I wanted to do business. And while some people might find that offensive and say, well, you're just trying to nickel and dime, I'm not trying to nickel and dime. I'm trying to make sure I'm not getting nickeled and dimed. And even further, that I'm not wasting my time. So to the fan that booked time in my calendar to get help with their 3D printer but didn't show up to their meeting and has not responded to my email, even though you replied to the email from Victoria that you would be at your meeting, shame on you for wasting my time. And now you've lost your privileges for free meetings. Because if you don't respect my time, I can't really respect yours either. It's a mutual respect thing when it comes to doing business. And if a company is not going to respect your time, then you shouldn't respect doing business with them. Period. So let's look at estimating, because estimating a project is hyper important. If you can't estimate properly, setting a budget doesn't matter. The estimation is where you kind of make or break that client. We bill $150 an hour for our design time. And I've been doing this for 7 years with 3D Musketeers. This is year 7. And that is where that experience comes to play. I know how long it takes our guys and gals to do work. And sometimes I'm a little bit high, sometimes I'm a little bit low, but often it works out in the end. Because, well, you lose a little bit on some, you make some on others, and you end up being where you need to be. So we look at this problem of, if you're new to this, you don't necessarily know how to deal with it and how to, set these estimates appropriately. You have to look at what you believe the time will take and set an expectation of, am I very fast or am I very slow? If you are relatively slow, then hey, maybe pay yourself a little bit less per hour so that you can make a more affordable rate at the end. Like, we have a staff member that works at roughly double the speed of everybody else. They are paid accordingly because I want the staff to make a minimum, the engineers at least, a minimum of $30 an hour. So if they are working on a project and they are very fast for some reason, let's say I've quoted 10 hours for this job and they finish it in 5, well, I'm going to look at that and say, did I accidentally overquote the client? Or did they just really burn through this one faster than we were expecting? If it is option B, I pay the engineer for 10 hours because they worked what I believe was 10 hours. If the answer is A, that it was much easier than I expected, I go back to the client and let them know that I overbilled and that we will be applying the difference to their printing, and anything that's left over will be applied to future projects. We do not refund. It is in our terms of service. We do not offer refunds. This is custom work. We don't offer refunds. We will apply a difference to future orders, but I'm not going to refund. It's not how that works. And besides, it's a pain in the ass to issue refunds with the system that we have. So, I don't like doing it. When we look at these estimations, right, you can charge whatever you want, but understand that at some point you will charge too much, but often you're probably not charging enough. You need to make sure that you charge appropriately for the work that you're doing. And if you're new to this, I totally understand charging like 40 to 50 bucks an hour for CAD. That's where we started. We started at $50 an hour for CAD. And I started engineers at $20 an hour. But we did start this company in 2016, where the cost of living was a lot less. And while we have significantly increased the amount of money that we charge our clients, we've not moved that needle up as much for our staff, because what we were finding was that if the staff went over a little bit, I wasn't going to try to nickel and dime the client. I had to eat that extra bit and, chalk it off to margins. So we find that sometimes jobs will run longer than they should, whether it's something that comes in to their lives, or we need to bring a second engineer onto the project because, someone had to drop it for some reason. And I'd rather know that I have the budget internally to pay a little bit more to our team than realistically end up eating profit margin and a lot of my profit margin because I didn't properly estimate the time. And unfortunately, there really isn't a great way to get it and understand those estimations without just doing it. The best thing that you can do, and the best thing that we did back in the day, was just give yourself a project, create a fake project, and do it. Start a stopwatch, do a clock in, clock out system, and figure out how long this stuff takes you. Oh, here's the cat again. Hello. Because if you don't know how long it's going to take you, then you might as well just say, I don't know what's going to cost me, but I'll bill you when it's done. Let me know how well that works out for you. Oh, God. Oh, the cat's on the keyboard. Hold on. Cat, over here, please. You were on the keyboard, and that doesn't work. Ugh. I know. It's tough. It's tough being you. It's tough being you. Just wanted to make sure that she didn't, stop streaming or stop recording, because there are hotkeys for all of those things. Come here. Come here. I know. Come on. We're live streaming. Oh, hey, Apex is here. If you guys didn't see Snake Oil, we did interview Apex at the Rocky Mountain Rep Fest. So if you want to see Apex's interview, you can go check out video 2 from the Rocky Mountain Rep Fest. And I saw another comment about my pricing. Where was that? Did they delete it? They might have deleted it. Nope, there it is. Griffin's Closet Print Farm was saying they figured I'd be closer to $300 an hour. And no, I'm not. And the reason for that is that the market won't sustain that. At least here, the market won't sustain it. So we can't. Yeah, there's a cat in my lap now. You know, it'd be much better if you got into your bed, then the entire stream could see you. But no, you want to just lay in my lap. Okay. Well, you know. So, Never Let the Machines Win said, you just kicked the boss off the set. Well, the boss wants to walk all over the keyboard, so, you know, and that means the stream might go down. So we don't like that. So that's fine. Now the cat's in my lap, so she's happy, I guess. She'll eventually come over and go to sleep, but for right now, she is not. All right, I gotta move myself just a little bit. Okay, I'm better now. Oh, okay. Are we gonna try to make biscuits on me? No? Okay. All right, the cat's just gonna be there, I guess. All right, so these expectations and estimations are kind of pivotal. But often, we find that scope changes will eat into productivity. When a client says, hey, can you make these megaphones for me and paint the logos white? No problem. It's definitely not one of those right there. Nope, that's not one of them. That's a spare. I'm like, yeah, no problem. I can, you know, paint the logos white. We'll use some resin and no big deal. We get it done. 4 days before it's due, they say, hey, you're going to paint them, right? I said, yeah, I'm going to paint the logo white. No, you're going to paint the whole thing, right? No, I was going to give it to you unpainted with just the white because that's what we agreed to. Here's our emails. Oh, well, I guess we didn't make it fully clear. We need them 100% painted. I said, guys, that's a big scope creep change. I'm about to go out of town and you need them the day after I come back. Like, I can't do that for you. I'm going to either need more time or a lot more money. So we got a little bit more time to finish the project and they understood and I billed them extra for it. I didn't bill them enough extra because I recognized that project, I added like 20% to the cost of that project and it was still not enough to cover my time. I had a lot of time on that project during the painting as I don't paint. I had a lot of time on that project. And they paid it without even asking. So they said, yep, you did a good job. And thank you. Thank you for making it happen for us. I said, I got you. That's what we do here. And I got to get a testimonial from them. Apex says, scope creep is a pain in the ass regardless of the industry. Got to set your boundaries. And if you do end up with some sort of scope creep, you got to say, hey, this is going to cost you. Now, if they do the opposite of scope creep, which I don't even know what that is, I've never had someone just not scope creep a project or anti-scope creep a project. I find that if they anti-scope creep a project, it's because they figured out that they've overly complicated it, and then we just apply a difference. But often when you do get scope creep involved, and this happens all the time, I'm looking at you, products that involve electronics that I absolutely despise. That is why scope creep exists. You guys are the reason scope creep exists. And with ones like this, man, it's tough. Because you have to play this game of, I need to charge more, but I can't charge too much more because nobody's going to take me seriously, and they might just nuke the whole project. And you don't want your entire project to go away. You just want to get paid more adequately for your time. It's a big deal. And if your client doesn't understand that, you then have to decide, is it worth finishing the project for less money? Or is it worth firing the client? Because sometimes option B is your correct answer. This cat in my lap is keeping me from being close to my microphone, which means you guys don't get the good podcaster voice. So Ben is saying the massive reduction in parts and materials availability combined with massive increases in their costs has caused huge issues. Blows out pricing from the estimate versus the completed job. Yeah, it does. And electronics specifically are still suffering from issues with supply chain. And unfortunately, not only is it not going anywhere, the companies that have realized it's not going anywhere, I firmly believe, are artificially limiting supply so they can increase demand and increase their pricing accordingly to make more money. Remember, oil and gas companies have seen record profit numbers while the rest of us are struggling to make ends meet. That's all I got to say about that. Griffin's Closet Print Farm says skilled labor costs skilled workers. I know I won't do skilled labor for less than $30 an hour. I'm on the boat of if you can't afford me, you don't need my service. We need to shift from what the industry thinks we should be paid to what we are really paid. Just the way we need to move. And I agree. We have to look at what you are worth. Because again, if you are working for yourself, you need to be... there we go. Okay, things just... Did Zoom just, like, kind of crash on me? That was weird. Is my computer upset? I think my computer's upset. Hold on here. Ah, yes, my C drive has hit 100% utilization. I don't know why. Because screw me, that's why. No, it's not Spectrum. It's my PC. Let me figure out what's going on. Damn, I was on a good roll, too. What is doing it? Okay, cool. It's Windows. It's Windows doing Windows stuff. Yep. Mike is, yep, it's Windows. It's Windows being Windows. Okay. Well, if I continue to freeze, I'm sorry. It's Windows taking 100% of my C drive. So, anyways. Let's get back talking about your time. Because you might think your time is worth $30 an hour. Because that's what you've been paid. You've been paid $30 an hour your entire life. Maybe you've been paid $15 an hour. What you don't remember is that a business has to make money on you. And so they're doubling what they pay you minimum for the profit that they expect from their staff. And that means when it comes time to do work for yourself, you kind of have to double the hourly rate that you've been paid and start from there. I don't know why Windows does this. Windows, I am streaming. Leave me alone. Stop trying to update. You are literally at 100% of my C drive. Leave it alone, Windows. Leave it alone. See? Now the cat's done. She had her cuddles, and now she wants to go lay down. So, she's happy. There. That's a happy cat. Here, I can even move the camera a little bit to give you guys more of the cat. Who doesn't love the cat? Okay, good. C drive is happy again. It's an SSD. I don't understand how it gets just slammed. Anyways. When we look at this estimation and we look at scope changes, you have to remember the time that it takes you. When we are working on a big project, let's say we're working with an inventor. It's a very common thing that we work with inventors here. And in fact, we're building a program called the Making Awesome Academy to help inventors go from art to part. We will also have classes that go deep into, calibrating, cleaning, maintaining 3D printers. So keep an eye out for that. That is coming. This is all part of an upgrade here at my house to have better quality sets. In fact, I'm building an audio room, for those that don't know. And it's going to be a podcasting room as well. There's going to be a whole thing that we're going to do for it. And we're going to end up needing to have help from the community. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I have a nice video card, Ram Online. He's saying, put it on game mode and 7-day updates. Stop. Put cheap video card in. I have a 1080 Ti, so I'm not putting another graphics card in here. It's fine. But let's say we're working with an inventor, and the inventor says, this is what I want to do. This is my project. This is how I want to do it. Can you do it? I'm going to give them a price quote. We say, art to part work for inventors starts at $1,500. And if they balk at that, I'm sorry, we can't help you. Have a nice day. But often they don't, because they've called other companies and they realize we're pretty affordable at $1,500. But I said starts at. Very clearly said starts at. Because every product is a little bit different. So let's understand your needs. They talk about what they need. I list it out and I put it in writing. I said, this is what you need, correct? I said, yep, this is what I need. Great. Here's your bill. With inventors, we do a progress payment, progress delivery. They will pay for all the design up front. We have an estimation for what we expect the 3D printing to cost. But until we have the CAD done 100%, I don't stick to those numbers. I've gotten pretty good at it. I'm normally within $20. And if they really need a hard number that they can pay now, I'm going to quote them close to double what I think it's going to take. Because, well, they're probably going to do something stupid. And as Mike from Never Let the Machines Win says, and add, did I miss anything? Sometimes it helps. Yeah. Yeah. It does. It can help a ton, actually. And when they come back and say, hey, I know that we talked about this, but can we do this instead? I say, well, this is going to be, and I'm just I use rough estimations, it's going to be 3 to 4 hours of extra time. At our rate, you're looking at about an extra $600. Are you okay with that? What do you mean an extra $600? That's 50% more. Well, you've just scope crept to a point where we have to backtrack all of this work that we've done, start over on different things, and make adjustments. Well, if you have to throw the work away, then why should I be paying for it? Because the work's already been done. And we kind of have to make sure that our people get paid. If your boss didn't pay you every time they threw away work that you did, you probably wouldn't get paid very often. Or, corporate America would find ways to do that. And oftentimes we call these change orders. And that's my understanding of what the industry calls them. Oh, yeah, Mike says change order, create a handy paper trail for when they balk at the end. That's right. These change orders are where a lot of times you make more money. Candid Prole says, sounds very similar to my experience with clients for web development. Yeah, it's way more common in the web dev industry than it is in this industry. So it is an interesting one. It is an interesting one. Kat, you're on stream. Hey, cut that out. That's for OnlyFans. Jeez. Someone put a block on that. God, Kat, come on. And yes, we didn't go live early. We didn't go live early, Mad Cat. You just weren't paying attention. Cat! Hey. Stop it. We're on stream. Thank you. Jeez. You're supposed to save that for your Only Grant Rants page. OnlyGrantRants.com. Just, it doesn't have an SSL, so you got to do HTTP. OnlyGrantRants.com. It is an actual website. I got to put an SSL on that. Anyways, John Olson says, when I was self-employed doing software dev, I did the same thing. If they wanted a hard quote, my quote doubled. 99% of the time, we worked on an estimate and reassessed every 2 weeks. That's perfect. Oftentimes in product development, clients want this stuff done yesterday, and we have a price for that. It's called double. If you wanted it done yesterday, you pay double. Go try to find any space. It's a redirect. It doesn't need an SSL. Well, if you do HTTPS, it doesn't work. You have to do HTTP. So I don't know, man. Yeah, Eskimo says clients won't realize how fast you burn through those extra $600 in engineering. No, they don't. 4 hours of engineering time is nothing. Like it's absolutely nothing. It blink of an eye. Or the people that say, well, you billed me for 8 hours. Why isn't it done 8 hours later? Oh man, there are just some people that just need a good Will Smith slap. You feel me? There are just some people that need a good Will Smith slap, and those are the people that need it. Just, woo! Oh, that's a great one from Mike from Never Let the Machines Win. Time machines are expensive, so yesterday deadlines cost double. I am so down for that. I'm so down for that. So how to deal with it, right? Document, 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 and oh yeah, document. You want to make sure that every ounce of scope creep is documented on paper. And if you do have a contract, you need to make an addendum every single time that there's a scope creep, because this needs to, be retained inside of that contract. Now, what we do is we leave an area on our contract to be hand-filled for scope creeps. Which means I have to print it out, I have to write it all in, I have to scan it to the client. It's a pain in the ass. I really wish there was a better way. And we have a online signature system, but it doesn't enable me to make changes after both signatures have been done. So if you have an online signature system that works better than that, let me know. I can't afford DocuSign for the amount of contracts that we do. DocuSign's way too expensive. We use Signaturely because I got it through AppSumo, and it was like $150 for a lifetime. It's great. Anyways, yeah, okay, yeah, DocuSign won't let you either. I wish that you could do an addendum to an already done contract and then have it be re-signed by everybody, but I guess you can't. So it has to be done the old school way. And without those contracts, scope creep eats you alive. Now, for the project that I was discussing where I added 20%, I just told them I'm going to charge you more. And I don't know what that number is going to be because I don't know yet how much work you just added to my bill, but you just added at least 3 days of my time. And unfortunately, I couldn't charge for that because it would have nearly doubled their entire project and there would have been no chance they paid me at all. And I was deep enough into this project already that I wasn't willing to just walk away from it. So I decided to take less money for my time. It happens. And I was comfortable with it because I knew that while this one I lost on my time, we profited good on it. So overall, we did okay, and I'm happy with the money. So, yeah. Contracts. They're a big deal. So do you need a contract, right? I've talked about my need. The contracts occur over a certain amount of money. And contracts are, they're needed. You need them. And you might say, well, Grant, I'm just starting out. I don't really need a contract. And, if you're not working with big businesses and you're normally charging under $1,000, I would agree. You don't need a contract. You need money up front. We talked about last week terms, and that's like net 30, net 60, net 90, net 120, where they pay you X amount of time after the work is delivered. I have an invoice here from a company that pays me net 20. I don't ask a lot of questions. But they definitely require contracts. When you get paid in terms, you need contracts. Now, thankfully for this company that pays me in terms, we have a long-standing contract that basically states the work will be done for an agreed-upon price, and it is paid 20 days after the parts are delivered. That's a great contract. And then every single time they send me parts, they send me a purchase order because we've already agreed to prices for everything, and they ask for me to confirm. I confirm, we move on. It's great. Dust says, my favorite is when the client sabotages their own deadlines by delaying decisions, and then they blame you for it because obviously it's your fault that they delayed their deadline. They delayed their decision-making, and that should not delay you from doing your job, even though you were sitting there twiddling your thumbs waiting. They still need it by this time. The worst, the literal worst. And then they get mad at you when you try to charge more. Can't stand it. Cannot stand it. So do you need these contracts? If you are doing big business, yeah, you absolutely do. Because it takes one, $4,000 to $5,000 client to ruin you. We had that happen 2 years ago, and I'll never forget them. They still owe me $5,400. This was for, they didn't pay me, so their NDA is null and void. It was a project called the Case Cam, where it was a GoPro competitor that worked on a selfie stick, but then was also detachable and it could stream 4K 60 both to the internet and to a cell phone remotely. They're literally trying to compete with GoPro. They just stopped responding. They made all these different, like, initially this thing was just a case that it was a good camera that fit onto the back of a phone. I don't know why you needed a better camera on the back of your phone, since most phones have really nice cameras, but whatever, fine. We built a case that fit around an iPhone and a Samsung. That was their request. That had a mount to fit a camera. Great, we did the job. Oh, well, can you design the camera? Sure, it's going to be this much extra. Okay, here's our contract. They signed the contract. We did the work. They scope crept again, so I gave them a new contract. They signed it. We did the work. They scope crept again, and again, and again. They're $5,000 deep in this, and they still owe me the money. And then they disappear. They live in Maitland, Florida. It's a bit north of Orlando. And I've debated on going out there being like, hey, so remember all that money you owe me? I'm going to need that money. But at some point, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So be aware that contracts are only good if you can defend them. And I wasn't really willing to pay $10,000 for an attorney to fight a $5,000 claim. Like, it didn't, I'll write it off as bad debt and move on. It's unfortunate because the staff obviously still have to get paid for their time, but that's business sometimes. And you have to be careful with that kind of thing. You really, really do. Winslow Joy says, lack of planning on your part does not equate to an emergency on my part. My brother then says, yes, but it isn't easy to explain to higher ups. Exactly. Mike from Never Let the Machines Win says, thanks for letting me know that you are running behind, but be aware this will push delivery back accordingly and costs may increase for us to meet your new deadline. Yeah, you could. Winslow Joy says, small claims court. $5,000 is above small claims court limits, so we can't do it. It is $1,000 locally for small claims court, so it has to be attorneys. And my attorney said, as much as I know you would love to collect this money, and you can try to send it to collections if you want, but no collections agency is going to take you seriously over $5,000. But if you can get one, too, great. But just know, you're going to write this one off as bad debt because you don't want to pay me to go to court for this. It's going to cost you more to pay me than it will be for what you get. So, yeah. Bummer, you know. But that's how it goes, right? You win some, you lose some, and at the end of the day, you hope you come out on top. But this budgeting style, and you might say, well, Grant, I don't want to budget. It's a pain in the ass. And you're right, it is a pain in the ass. Nobody wants to do it. It's not fun. It's not sexy. It's not easy. And it forces you to be honest with yourself where you might not want to be honest with yourself and say, well, I don't really know what it's going to cost me to do this. And sometimes that's an okay thing to say to a client. Say, hey, this is a new type of work that I've never done before. And if you don't mind, I'd rather us go on a progress payment, progress delivery. So let's put 10 hours in the bank for time. And when I've hit 8 hours, I'm going to show you where we're at. If I haven't showed you already, let's sit down and talk about what the next 2 hours we want to use it on. And then let's look at if there's any extra time needed. And being honest with people can really, really help in making this a valuable interaction and earn a mutual respect that you might not have had previously. It's not easy. I promise you, it's not easy to do this. Even when I know what our costs are going to be, it's not easy to do this because I also take into account what I know the client is willing to spend. And if I know that I'm getting close to their limit, it's going to be a problem, and a big one at that. When we look at tracking these expenses and achieving financial goals, if you're not upfront and honest about it with the people in the beginning, you're going to get into this he said, she said problem. And it's why contracts matter more than you think. Even if it is a very simple contract, so-and-so agrees to pay this much for this amount of time to get to this deliverable with these necessities attached to said deliverable. So-and-so agrees to this price to do the work in this amount of time with this delivery date, barring any acts of God, natural disasters, that kind of thing. Because, of course, hurricanes in Florida are a issue that can create business problems. So, of course, give yourself an out in case, you get a hurricane and you lose power for 3 days. 'Cause don't remind me of how I've had to print through hurricanes. You can do it. It's just not fun. Progress payment is one of my favorite for when you really don't know what you're doing. And it's okay to admit it. Remember, the people on the other side of the phone, other side of the email, they're human too. And they didn't know what they were doing at one point. And say, hey, I'm kind of new to dealing with projects this big. If you don't mind, I'd love some assistance here. I believe it's going to take this long, and these are what you guys are looking for on your deliverables. But I'm afraid that I might end up going over budget. So I'm going to charge you guys this much. Normally, if it's a 10-hour job, I'll charge 15. Because I'm afraid that I'm going to go over into the 15-hour range. If I do go over 10, I'll let you know. And if I get close to 15, we'll sit down and have a discussion. Because I think it's good for us to talk about if there is going to be any extra expenses involved. I've never had a client say, oh, what are you, some newbie that doesn't know what they're doing? Because they're human. And if that's what they say, run. Run. Please. Because you don't want to do it. You don't. That's not a good move. There is a respect to be given to someone that says, I don't know what to charge, or this isn't work that I've done before, but it is in my scope of work that we do. But when you take on projects like that, please make sure that you are accounting for needing to potentially bring in other people. Because if you don't, that's going to hurt more than anything. Winslow says, I'm still floored that in small claims limits are 1,000 in Florida. It's 5,000 here in Maryland. For this particular type of work, it is 1,000. So, yeah, it sucks. It sucks. And as Mike says, progress payments are good for new clients especially. It gives you a chance to reevaluate at milestones. Exactly. If you don't know what Scrum is, look it up. The idea of Scrum is that you're working on multiple things at once, but the big thing with Scrum are sprints. We do this with clients. We will do a sprint. It's normally a 1 or 2 week sprint where we work on their project, and then we sit down with the client, we discuss what we've done, we show them the CAD where it is at. I want to be very clear. Do not ever send CAD to a client until they have paid you for all of it. Because if they're not good people, they're going to take your CAD and then they're not going to talk to you. It's the one big reason we love Fusion 360, because I can send a 3D viewable link that does not allow downloads. So they can view it in a browser, they can view it on their phone, they can do all of this stuff. All of this stuff. But they can't download it. That it allows them to take a screenshot, to do markups. It allows them to view it at their own pace when they want. It doesn't force us to sit down to have a Zoom meeting. So often when we start a new project for a client, I will just save a blank file in Fusion 360 and then send them that viewable link, because as we save, it auto-updates so that they're able to watch progress as they need it. So, hey, Autodesk, if you're out there, love for you to sponsor some content. Love your product. Would love to get a sponsorship from Fusion 360. So if you're out there, anyone has any contacts at Autodesk, let me know. Because I have a couple of contacts back from the good old days, but I don't know if I want to leverage those because they're not the right people in the right area. So hey, Autodesk, hit me up because I like your product. and I want to show it off more. As a software dev, Scrum gives me the shudders. It's so abused by management and companies that sell Scrum training. But I love the idea of 2-week sprints and being agile, says John Olson. And yeah, I understand. God, every time my eye gets itchy, I touch it and it turns red. I hate that. It's especially now with the new camera, it's very obvious that when I rub my eye, it turns really red. I don't know why. Also, for those of you that are like, did your cat put on a bunch of weight or is she pregnant in the last video? The cat has always been like this. I just guess the previous camera was not that good at focusing. So yeah, this is the problem with good cameras. It shows you how broken you are. I am very broken. But yeah, the idea of being agile and having sprints for the projects is great. It enables us to set deadlines for our engineers, and it allows us to keep a constant communication with the client that doesn't involve daily emails, right? At some point, sending out emails all the time is a pain in the ass. If the client can just check in on their progress at their, leisure, it takes a lot of the BS out of it. And if they are watching it pretty constantly, they can find issues that they may not like before we're so deep into the design that it's really difficult to go back. So consider that really going for this idea of sprinting from one goalpost to another and doing small sprints, even if it's a couple of days, and then you provide an update, and that being the way that you do business, that greatly increases the amount of respect that you will get from others. Because those people understand what that's like as well. They really do. It's the do's and don'ts of project management. Yeah, exactly. This is literally project management. And, well, you might think this is kind of backwards, but I kind of promise it's not. It can reduce stress. You're going to be really stressed in the beginning to get that number together, but when you get that okay or the not okay, you kind of know now what you're dealing with. Whether it is, whether it's, it's a 2-week sprint, we get together every 2 weeks, or, hey, it's going to be $1,500 for this project, and I need you to pay it. Kind of depends. But it will make you a little bit more comfortable because you have some of these unknowns already answered. Sorry, you don't normally see me have to take medicine because I take medicine at certain times of the day. This is one of those times. I'm normally not streaming now, but when I stream early, I have to do it. So, yeah. At my prior company, we joked, Agile's waterfall with sprints. And that's fine. It's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Mike says, sending emails or any correspondence costs them money. Think about dealing with a lawyer. Less talk equals less cost. And it's a shame that it is complicated to basically treat everything as if you are a lawyer, but you kind of have to. An email should be 15 minutes of your time, and that should be billed as 15 minutes of your time. A Zoom call that is half an hour with 2 of your people is now billed at 1 hour. Now, we don't necessarily do that right now. I'm trying not to nickel and dime people because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. 5 minutes for me to write an email to not have a client get pissed off at me is 5 minutes of my time that's well spent. So I don't see an issue with it. But if you really do want to properly value your time, yeah, you got to be charging for all of that. So, yeah, be careful. But the stress is a big thing because financial stress is incredibly common. Everybody goes through some level of financial stress at some point. in their life. By creating and sticking to this budget, everybody feels more in control. The client feels more in control because they know that this is what it's going to cost. You feel more in control because you know how much money you have left to work with before you have to have a talk. And, well, there's no uncertainty, right? There's no uncertainty. And that uncertainty is where stress comes from. If you maintain a level of uncertainty, you will maintain a level of distrust with your clients. Now, you might find yourself busy and can't, update people as much as possible. And that's why I like the ability of having these viewable files, because they can easily just do what they need. It's done. It's easy. It's simple. You don't have to do any BS. But it also means you're sticking to a number. And that might stress you out because you're not certain what that's going to be. And if you're sitting there saying, well, Grant, I don't know if I can do it for the budget that I set. Well, then maybe you should set a different budget. And that might be a hard lesson that you learn once or twice, 3 times. It's now a lady. At least that's what Lionel Richie's told me. You'll eventually figure it out. Sometimes you gotta really take some hits before you know how to throw them yourself. And if you end up losing on a job, it is what it is. The best thing that you can do is, if you did a good job, get a testimonial out of them and get that onto your website, because that testimonial probably worth more than the couple $100 of profit you would have made on that job anyways. That's at least how I look at it. R3DZ says, Grant, asking again, are you interested in turning the ads off for live streams? I understand it's revenue, but thought I'd ask. I can't control it. I literally can't control it. You have not. So for me to insert an ad, I have to move my mouse all the way over here and click insert ad. I know that that doesn't show you anything, but my mouse is on the backtrack clip. So when I say something that I like, I click a button and that saves the last 120 seconds of what I said. YouTube inserts these ads on their own. I don't have any control over it. Welcome to YouTube. What we say is, if you don't want to see ads on things, by all means, either one, get YouTube Premium. You can do that. You can join our Patreon, YouTube channel members, or PayPal. And then you can run an ad blocker, and I don't feel bad about it because I'm making more money through those other places. Or you can just run an ad blocker and say, screw you, Grant, and you don't get any money. But look, this is a business. And if YouTube wants to put ads in there and I'm going to get a percentage of those ads, I'm going to keep them. Because if that means we get less viewers, we get less viewers. I don't care. This is a business. And if I'm going to be kind of giving away this knowledge, I want to make something for it. And, often we don't make any money on these streams. And so I might make $30, $40 in ad revenue in 3 months on it for 2 hours of my time. Tell me if you think that's a good move or not. It's not. But I enjoy what I do. So, yeah. I'm sorry. I wish that we could, but yeah. I can turn off ads on the stream, but YouTube will still insert ones on its own, and I can't control that. And then what happens is YouTube gets 100% of that ad revenue, and I don't. But yeah, Mike says ads are the cost of a free platform, free video storage, and etc. It's true. And if you don't want to see ads, either pay not to see them or give a middle finger to the content creator. I'm sorry, but this is a business for me, and I want to make money doing it. So the ads don't even get close to paying for our expenses. In fact, the ad revenue of last month covered less than 1/3 of our editing cost last month. That should tell you how bad it is. But yeah, it is what it is. Sorry, that's a rant that I don't want to go down, because I was one of those people that ran ad block all the time and said, I don't care. My AdSense to the person doesn't matter. But if there's thousands of people that have the same viewpoint that I do, then they really does equate to a loss of money. Like, to give you an idea, we had like 250,000 views last month, and we brought in less than $500 in ad revenue. Yeah. It's rough. It's real rough. So, sorry. I'm going to get back on topic now. Oh, where was I? What are the downsides? Right? There's downsides to everything. Everything's got a downside. Buying a new car's got a downside. It loses 20% of value when you drive off the lot. Although, I guess that's not necessarily the case anymore because, the prices of used cars are through the roof. It's great. It's tripled the value of my car. It means my car is now worth like $2,000. I have a 21-year-old Honda. I love it. It's phenomenal. And I need to change a spark plug on it. Oh, well. Anyways. Yeah. As John also says, we need to be doing a better job getting Grant more views and subscribers. Yeah. It's fun when you go to your metrics and you see that 94% of the people that watch your channel are not subscribed. Because when you go out to sponsors, at least the ones that don't want to have a conversation with you, really only care about your subscriber count. And if you don't have the subscriber count that they're expecting, it'll work with you. So, yeah. As R3DZ says, today you might gain 20% driving it off the lot. It's true. God, it's true. So, what are some downsides? Give me just a second. You've got some costs involved, right, with this. You're building a budget, and you're not charging for that budget that you're building because the budget is what you're charging for, that you're charging to charge for. It's a cyclical problem of the budget costs, making the budget cost you time that you're not budgeting in the budget for. And if you have a line item for creating budget, people are going to absolutely call you an asshole. Because I would call you an asshole too. Work it into something else. Because if you have a line item for creating a budget, because you always create budgets, that should not be a cost that I have to bear, or at least hide it from me, right? You might think that a budget can be restrictive, and, well, that's because it can be. A budget will restrict you as a maker to staying within your lane. Who knew? We have a problem scope creeping too. This idea of being locked into a wall or a hallway to get to a project scares the hell out of a lot of makers because we don't like being held down for things, right? I mean, other than like relationships, we like to have the freedom to make as we please and as we need to. But that's a problem because it means we don't always finish projects. How many unfinished projects are currently sitting around you right now? I'm not going to note how many are around me because that's just vulgar and not fair. But it's a lot. Snake Oil XY Apex says, that's just the cost of doing business. Need to factor it into your rate. That is correct. I would say that's under your COGS. Cost of goods sold. 2 projects, yeah. And budgeting can be tough to stick to and incredibly demotivating if you get it wrong. So if you budget for something and you're for some reason way under where you should have been and you realize this, you got 2 options. You can go to the client and say, I screwed up and my budget isn't right and I need to get more money. You can try that. They might say, nope, we agreed to this. This is what we're paying you. That's on you, not on us. This is a lesson that you'll learn. Sometimes they'll be nice. Oftentimes I find that I just suck it up and deal with it because admitting that I was wrong to a big client is not a good move. It is easier to accept less money. And maybe that's where my pride gets in the way. And if that's the case, my pride gets in the way. I'm human. What can I do? But I do believe that you might have better success if you're upfront. But maybe that's because I'm looking at it as if somebody was upfront with me. Like when I ask the staff how long they think a project's going to take, and they tell me, oh, it's 6 hours. So I bill the client for 6 hours, and it takes them 10. I said, well, what happened? Oh, man, I didn't think this was going to take so long, and it did. I'm like, all right, it happens. I can eat that in my profit margins and be okay. I'm not going to like it, but I understand that mistakes happen. And the goal is that we make less of those. It still happens. It happens with me, right? I've been working on projects for so gosh darn long that it's not where I'm happy. But I got to get it done. So come hell or high water, you got to do it. Winslow Joy says, off topic, the car market is heading for a correction. Repo vehicles are piling up and lenders are not sending them to auction. Sooner or later, the floodgates will open, and I am heavily looking forward to that. Because I would love to buy a newer used car for pennies on the dollar. Also, looking for a shipping container. If anyone has contacts to get a one-time or brand new shipping container for cheap, or a company that we should contact to work with for some sponsored content, let me know. Because we are going to be moving 3D Musketeers into a shipping container. It's happening. That'd be a lot of fun. But yeah, dude, all the unknowns make budgeting really complicated. Because if you don't really know how much time it's going to take, and you guess wrong, you end up eating your lunch, and you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you come out of a project making money, and you might be able to come out of it, break even, and say you learned a valuable lesson. But if you come out of it and you realize that your time was valued at less than $15 an hour, you got to look at reassessing in that future. And understand that your time is worth more than you think. Just because you've gotten paid very little by an employer who didn't value your time doesn't mean that you should inherently not value it either. Your time has value, and please value it accordingly. You gotta know what you're doing here. Griffin's Closet Print Farm says, need one for sale then, or renting it? Buying. My current office is 10 feet by 17, I think. So it's, it's gotta be, because it's at least 17 feet. Maybe it's 18. Maybe it's 18 feet. I don't know. It's less than 200 square feet. And a shipping container is 8 feet wide by 40 feet long. That's a lot of extra printers. And I want to move. It's like we work out of my house. And it sucks. There's just shit everywhere. And I want to basically build the business into at least one shipping container, but eventually grow it into multiple shipping containers. Because if we do move, it's really easy for us to just take it and move it. I can have it be picked up by a truck and move. They're hurricane proof. They're roughly bomb proof, right? You can pretty much hit them with anything. They're solid steel containers. And then I could also paint my logo on the side of it, which would be fun. We want to do a full off-grid solar panel array that is tracking. So all of these things are coming soon, TM, and I'm looking for sponsors for those projects because it is a lot of work. Donald says, East Coast has got to have shipping containers somewhere for you to get even ones gently used. Yeah, like we have the Port of Tampa relatively close, but if someone has a contact, I'd rather leverage a contact from somebody than try to set one up on my own. Right. How does, Jomar, where do you live? How do you know about Crate and Wesley Chapel? And no, I'm not moving it there. I'm putting a crate in my backyard. I'm putting a shipping container in my backyard. Because I have 2 acres of land, and I can do that kind of thing. So, yeah. Anyways, moving on. I don't know where Jomar lives, but they must have looked up where we are, and found out there's a container, like one of those container parks with food businesses in them. But like I actually talked to the developer of that to see if they had any spares, and they said, "Son, I'm gonna be real straight with you. This was one of the dumbest decisions we ever made." That was a budgeting problem. They didn't realize that the amount of effort that it would take to put shipping containers together. What they did wrong is that they made every food business 2 shipping containers deep. So they made them 16 feet deep. So they had to cut holes in shipping containers, weld them all together, and then seal them from the outside environment. That was a really dumb decision. On top of that, they're not using ones with roll-up doors. You can buy them with doors that open up on the sides. They had to cut holes in the sides of their shipping containers, and that grossly reduces their structural stability. They had so many problems with that. Okay, Jomar used to live in Fletcher Avenue. He went to Zephyr Hills Farmers Market every month with his 3D print and craft business. Oh, okay. I guess I'm still technically on the board for the Zephyr Hills Main Street, but they don't do their meetings online anymore, and I can't get to their meetings in person, so I don't even know if I'm still on that board. Okay, sorry. Would the cat get transported? The cat stays with me. The cat goes where I go. Pac-Man Studio says, good morning, man. I appreciate answering my questions yesterday about the Diamondback nozzle temps. Yeah, dude. That's what we're here for. Yeah, Ronnie says they should have gone with 2 shipping containers as outside H-beams between them, roofing it large center space in an instance. I would have just skinned a regular building to look like a shipping container at that point, but, you know, that is a problem with budgeting where they said it's going to take this much time, this much money, this much whatever, and then they didn't. Now, in construction, the idea of going over budget is just accepted. Why? I don't know. It just is. You know, so. There are certain industries where going over budget is just kind of accepted and understood and known. And then there are ones where it's not. I don't know what those industries have done to figure it out. I think it's just they're naturally always more than they should be. So people just assume it's going to be more than it should be. I don't know. That's an interesting one. But budgeting is tough. And remember, it is okay to tell your client, hey, this was not in our original budget. This is a bit of a scope creep. I'm going to need to change our budget and our timeline. And if they're not okay with either, then you got to decide what you're going to do. Say, well, then I'm going to stick to our original budget. If you would like to, you know, have anything change to meet your new needs, then we will need to enter into a new contract. Yeah. I don't know. Ronnie says those industries are mostly under the government okays. Oh, God, you're right. Oh, that hurts. That hurts a little bit. Yeah, that's fair. I like Zephyr Hills. Although I like it a lot less now that your turn is gone. Budgeting is... It is something that will make or break your business. And if you are looking to start a maker business, you need to start looking at how long it takes you. Even if that is as easy as grabbing your phone and starting a stopwatch for when you're working. We've used systems for clock in and clock out with our engineers. Now I don't use that anymore because I just kind of trust them. But in the beginning, I said, hey, I'm going to need you guys to clock in and clock out so I can get a general idea of what we're looking at for time. I'm not going to use that to bill you, but I want to understand how long products take so I can better estimate them so we take less hits. Because in the beginning, my God, we lost a lot of money because I was poorly budgeting. Because as someone that's not an engineer, that doesn't know Fusion 360 very well, or any CAD package that well, for that instance, I was reliant on others. And if they didn't know how long it was going to take them either, I had to guess and hope that I was right. That didn't always work. And it might not always work for you either. But if you learn from your mistakes and say, well, this project had these specific things in it, this is where we got stuck, this is where we could look at doing better, you not only have a way that you can better work with your team in getting them, like, you know, more knowledgeable of what they need to do and know where their deficiencies are so you can work at cross-training and, you know, better helping them get to where they need to be as a team as well. But it also helps you as a business owner better understand for the next time what that is all going to take. Because it's probably more than you think. And if it's not, hey, you're doing a good job. And it's better to overpromise and underdeliver than to do the opposite. Every time. When we look at going down the stage of like putting your big boy pants on and running a big boy business, big boy businesses come with big boy money. And if you can't be like a big boy business, then maybe it's not time for you to do it. And that might be hard to hear because you might want to take this hobby and turn it into a job. Oftentimes, you can make a decent living doing this on the side and having a part-time job where you work for somebody else. Whether that is you work for a company doing whatever let's say you're a mechanical engineer. So you do engineering by day and you do 3D printing projects by night. You might have an 8 to 5, but then your 5 to 8 is for yourself. You can get knowledge of how to budget based on what you're seeing your bosses do. And if you're unsure of what that really looks like, we have this wonderful thing called the internet that can greatly help you figure out things better. In fact, systems like ChatGPT might be of use. I don't know if they are. I don't know. I assume ChatGPT can help you write a good budget out with. I honestly don't know. The staff have been messing with that. I really don't know how to use it as well as I wish I did, because it looks like there's a lot of value that could be there. So that'd be pretty cool. But utilize what's around you to help out. And don't be afraid to start small and work your way up. But be very afraid to take jobs that you are very much not qualified for, or that your team is not qualified for. Because that is how you find yourself in some deep water fast, without having any floaties. Because you're going to have a hard time swimming. Kids these days in their chat GPT. Yeah. Jamar is deciding between renting a space or building a mini store inside of a trailer. Inclined more to the trailer since rent is too high. Yeah, we debated on building, like pouring a pad and putting a building out here. And until 3D printed buildings become more feasible here in Florida, we are not going to do that. Because I don't know if I want to live in Florida the rest of my life. And I certainly don't want to live in this house the rest of my life. And that means that I need to move. And if I'm going to spend $100,000 to build a building that I can't just take with me, that's a pain. I can build a shipping container that is 300 plus square feet, even after insulation, for $20,000 to $25,000. That for a couple $1,000s, a truck comes and picks it up and moves it and just takes it somewhere else. And if that might be a place where shipping containers are not okay, then I deliver the shipping container to the new space, I unload it, and then I sell it. Because the nice thing about a insulated shipping container with air conditioning and power and lighting, they don't lose value. Assuming you keep them in good shape, they don't lose value. And that would enable us to have a relatively portable business. And then if I really go the full Florida brand and get a HEMTT, the Hemet, which can actually hold a shipping container on the back of it, now that's full Florida man. Those things are like 8x8s. They're military trucks that get 4 miles to the gallon. They're absolutely ridiculous. But imagine a rolling 3D printing business in a military truck. Now that shit's cool. Leave a like if you think that's cool. We're not going to do that, to be clear. Even the old ones are like $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. And the good ones are quite a bit more than that. Yeah, that'd be so dope. The new ones are actually fully electric. They're like a locomotive where they have a diesel engine that runs an electric generator to run the electric motors. But I've got some other plans for really off-grid 3D printing. And we are looking for sponsors for that because this is not going to be some cheap jobs. And it is going to require me to do a lot of effort. But, the downside of that is I have to know my numbers before I go to my sponsors, right? And say, hey, this is what we want to do. We want to basically build out a shipping container where we're going to film the entire process. We're going to do everything as DIY as possible, right? Now we're going to use like off-the-shelf insulation kits for containers. So they actually make ones that fit into the corrugation of it. The big thing with that is if I get those numbers wrong, you're screwed. Now, a lot of the companies I'm going to go to, we're going to ask for a container. We're going to ask for the installation. We're going to ask for a mini split. And in exchange, we do sponsored content of us installing the shipping container, painting it, protecting it, then going through and installing the insulation. And, you'll see. This is the plan. Because I want my house back. I want to be more comfortable with where I live. I want to have a living room again and not have it be full of 300 kilos of filament. Yes, there is over 300 kilos of filament in my living room, and I hate it. And I will still turn what is this office for me into a more workspace. That'll be more streaming focused, where we can stream me working on projects, where the container is more business focused, where the business occurs. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes of all of it, but that is the plan. We'll see. And the cat will probably come out with me to the container when I go. We'll have to see. She doesn't really like going outside. And when she does like going outside, she doesn't go very far because she knows where her food bowl is. But yeah. Gervin's Closet Print Farm says Wi-Fi is blocked nicely by the giant metal box. Power line. There's your solution. Or we're going to run a cable and just run a cable into it. So Eskimo says, wait, you guys in the U.S. use metric when talking about filament weight? I do, because the U.S. imperial measurement system is garbage. But yes, filament is sold in kilos or by the gram, because the entire 3D printing industry is in kilos and grams. Oh, no, as a benefit. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that does give you... My house is already steel studs and concrete blocks, so it's pretty rough as a Faraday cage already. For those that don't know, old school Grant would try to stream out in the garage, and it was bad. I would have to actually leave the door open to my garage so the Wi-Fi could actually get through, because solid concrete walls and steel doors don't equal proper Wi-Fi transmitting. So we have a wire RAN now. That's how we do it now. But yeah. So yeah, the downsides of it really are, if you don't have your numbers right, you're going to be taking a bath on it. And making sure that you get your numbers right is imperative. You won't in the beginning, and that's okay. Like I said, work on challenging yourself to some personal projects and really take into what that looks like. Say, I believe this is a 6-hour job. Start a timer and stop a timer as you start and stop your work. Because if you don't, you're not going to know if it took you 6 hours or 15. That's it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Jomar says I currently have a 200 square foot Florida room in the back of my house. It's half a sewing machine. Yeah. Or it's half sewing machines. This is 140 square feet, I think. I believe it's either 14 or it's got to be more than. These are 8-foot shelves. There's 2 of them, so it's at least 16 feet. Or are those 6 feet shelves? Shit, those might be 6-foot shelves. I don't remember. Apex says, gotta head out. This is solid advice. Thanks, Grant. See you, dude. See you, Apex. Thanks for doing the interview with us at Rocky Mountain. It was a lot of fun. And I am excited to see snake oil working again. Doug Woodchuck says I'm not the only one who has 350 kilos of ABS in his garage. We don't have a lot of ABS. We do more ASA than ABS, but I try to avoid styrene plastics when possible. 300 kgs is about 46 Canadian goose, according to Duff. That's a unit of measurement, I'm sure. So I think we've kind of covered budgeting and, of course, all the tangential BS that there is, because it is something that I struggle with, because I struggle with giving it all to the client, right? Without having CAD, I'll never know what something will cost to print. But like in my head, I kind of know how much time it takes. So I can get an idea of what I expect the filament usage to be. I can get an idea of what I expect if there's any support material or what extra work there is. But I let the client know, I'm going to stick to this budget. And if we have any issues, I'll let you know. And I'm going to let you know before it becomes an issue. The biggest thing that you can do when it comes to budgeting is communicate, 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 communicate. Because if you don't communicate, you're not going to get paid. You're not. Especially if there are problems. It is okay to have problems. You don't have to be perfect. And you might say, Grant, I have to be perfect. I have to be perfect. You don't. You're going to fail. You're going to screw up. You're going to make mistakes. And people understand that. And the ones that don't were shitty clients to begin with. So if they're not good to you, you don't have to be good to them. Play the game. Do what you need to do and really focus on getting that yes. More than focusing on getting that win. Because the more yeses you get, the more chances of a win that you get. Like, I've learned that painting is just not my strong suit. It's not the strong suit of most of our staff. That's okay. So we're reassessing and we're not taking jobs that require painting anymore. And if we do, there's a good reason that we're taking them. I know that we have some staff that are slower than others. So if the fast engineers are not available, I have to bill more. It comes down to really understanding and vibing with the people that you work with. Those of you that have worked a job that you've enjoyed, maybe you've hated management, but you've really enjoyed working with your coworkers, you know what it's like to be in the groove, right? Working and really flowing and the synergy of a team. But you also know what happens when a couple of those people are out sick or on vacation. This whole idea that we work better as a team falls apart very quickly. Because, yeah, there's not a team anymore. It's segmented. And be aware that that will happen, especially if you're working with a team at 1099. Like we are, independent contractors, where they set their own hours. I give them deadlines, but they set their own hours for how they do it. That's how the law works. That's how it has to work. And that means sometimes you miss deadlines. And so what I've constantly done, and my team knows that I do this, I will tell a client, hey, we're going to do our first sprint in 2 weeks. And I tell our team that I need this done in 8 days. So if they happen to run over for some reason, we've got a little bit of wiggle room that we can work with. And if they say, hey, we can't do that, say, well, what can you do? Then I go back to the client and say, hey, we actually have some problems. We're going to need to extend the deadline. And oftentimes, they're cool about it. They're cool about it. Remember, being upfront and honest with people will get you further than lying. It's also a lot easier. Sarcastic Snake 64 says, just subbed. Hope you get everything you and your team are working towards. Very wholesome stream. We'll be sharing you with fellow makers. Thank you. We stream basically every weekend. And this one is not a packed stream. Normally we get a lot more people here. I'm guessing the title really sucks. I should probably look at, adjusting that title, but that's what happens. I can look at the metrics and say that we've peaked at 46 people here on the stream. And we don't have a lot of chatting. We don't have a lot of, the metrics aren't great. And it also means that it's not our normal time. People are used to us streaming at 1. So, happens. Yeah. Be like Scotty, add some buffer. If you meet the deadline or whatever, then you're a rock star. I don't know what you're referencing. I wish I did, but I'm sorry I don't. Oh, Ronnie says last time you said you wanted to stream during the week, so people skipped this Sunday. Maybe. I didn't skip last Sunday. I skipped 2 Sundays ago. Because I was in the Rocky Mountains. So yeah. Sarcastic Snake found us through autoplay. Sweet. Well, we talk all about 3D printing here. It's kind of what we do. And the podcast is all about kind of the business side of it and what that looks like. So how to set things up. Next week, we're going to be doing the state of 3D printing, kind of where we're at, what's happened this year, some of the big new announcements, what I think about them. So it'll be a fun one. Theodore Bradley says, it's a Sunday, family day, not much to add. Just leeching free info. Hey, glad you're here. That's what it's all about, man. Ronnie says, no, yesterday you spoke about thinking about streaming during the weekdays. Yeah, that was for the supplementary stream. So instead of streaming on Saturdays, I want to do that on like a Thursday. Still continue the Sunday podcast. I love the Sunday podcast. I think it's great because either people are avoiding church, they're avoiding family, they're just wanting to hang out, learn more, and we give them that availability to do that kind of thing. We've Ben Cox is in here. He's in Australia. It's like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning for him right now, and he's waking up to listen to my dumbass talk. Although knowing Ben, he probably just hasn't gone to sleep yet. But yeah, I probably should have been better at communicating that yesterday. See, these are all about me learning, because like in my head, I knew what I was talking about, but apparently I didn't communicate it. And communication is so freaking key as well. And I'm still learning how to get better at it because I'm very short and to the point. Like I know this seems weird, but I try not to talk more than I have to. I know that you guys are used to me talking a lot. But when you work with me in the business side of things, I am much more direct. And I say what needs to be said and generally not much more. So it is a little bit weird. It's 3:36 a.m. for Ben. Jeez. Johnny Rocco says, let's discuss about whether or not modifying an STL and selling it is considered piracy. It depends on what your goals are. If the STL is not for... If you are looking at something that is not for commercial sale, like it's licensed not for commercial use, and you make some slight modifications and sell it, you're an asshole. It might be okay legally, but you're an asshole. That's how I see it. But it all really does depend on what the licenses is, what your goals are for it, and everything like that. So Cordell says, I work Sundays, but this podcast is great to go into the office, close the door, do some admin reporting while listening to you talk about my hobby. Well, hey, I'm trying better. As he just cussed a few times, I'm trying better to curse less during the podcast because we've had people talk about family and wanting to have their family listen to it because I unfortunately have the mouth of a sailor sometimes. That doesn't always work. So, yeah. Jeez, $50 for Cordell. Thank you for that. Hashtag thanks for making my work less boring. Yeah. For those that don't know, this is season 3, episode 33. So that means that is episode 137 of this podcast. That's how many episodes there are. And most of them are over 2 hours. So you've got a lot of content to look up. So Cordell, thank you very much for that. It's greatly appreciated. And I never know what to say. Like, I'm baffled when people want to like kick us money like that. I'm glad. But this is, again, one of those things of understanding self-worth. I'm like, I'm just talking. I'm just hanging out. I'm talking. I'm trying to share things that I've learned. And people drop, 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks. It's like, damn. This is what imposter syndrome looks like live, by the way. Just like for those that don't know what this is literally imposter syndrome live. And it is something that a lot of makers struggle with because you never think that you're good enough, right? Like, why am I good enough to give 50 bucks to? Right? Like, I'm the guy that wants to make enough money so I can give it away to people, right? I'm the person that wants to take everything that I've learned minus a few things. Like, I'm not going to tell you how we figure out our pricing, but, you know, and I want to give it away. That's what I want to do. I want to give it away. So, Cordell, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. And I wish I knew how to, you know, thank people more. It's weird. Mike says this is you trying not to talk. No, this is me just enjoying it. It's weird as a solo stream, right? Like, I'm just kind of sitting at my desk, talking into a camera with a couple of monitors. There's a cat that is literally snoring next to me. Oh, look at the stretch. Oh, she's just, oh, so cute. So cute. She knows we're talking about her, so she's got to be cute. You know, hey, at the end of the day, it is about, you know, like, Cordell can budget for the fact that that $50 is okay. That they can spend that money and it's fine. To me, it's like, God, $50, that's like food for a week and a half for me. So thank you. I greatly appreciate you. You have assisted me in knowing that I killed 2 RC controllers yesterday for a project that I'm working on. Thank you for covering that cost. Oh, God, that was such a pain in the ass. Jamar says, I listen to your podcast at work lately. I found that time flies when you listen and learn more about what you're interested in. Yeah, and I know that these can go very long, and I could do 15-minute podcasts, but those just seem boring. I want to have a conversation. This is why we do them live, so you guys can kind of chat. We have, going with the fancy ramen this week, Duff says. No, I always get a Sam's rotisserie chicken. That is part of my meals for the week, because I can take an entire rotisserie chicken and make it last a week. Pretty easily, actually. It's really not even that difficult. I like doing it live, and at some point, we are looking at having a live call-in where people can actually call in and talk with me live on the air. And we'll do that maybe like once a month, where we do a call-in. I think that would be cool. But I have a feeling, knowing some of our fans, we're going to get Baba Booeyed. And I would need a producer on the back end to screen the people to make sure they're not going to come on and spout nonsense. But we have definitely talked about it. Griffin is asking where I'm buying food for $50 for a week and a half. It's called eating relatively bland food in the same stuff days in a row. $2.50 bags of salad from Sam's that I can get 3 meals out of, and $5 rotisserie chicken that I can make last all week, and quesadillas go a long way to making cheap, decent food. So, yeah. But, you know, that's okay. Every now and then I get to treat myself, and when we do, like, we just had a really big job pay out, I go buy nicer food. The company can pay for that. Some of it, at least. So, anyways, I'm getting a little bit too deep into my personal life that I really don't like talking about. But, yeah, suffice to say, I live relatively lean because I want to extend my roadmap for the company. I don't pay myself, right? I want to, and I think YouTube's going to be the fastest way for us to get there, but I currently don't. So we'll get there eventually. Johnny Rocco with the 22 Canadian dollars. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. There's 20 Canadian pesos for you. Yeah. Cordell says, good news for you on the imposter syndrome side. I get to make the choice that you are worth sliding some cash to. You don't have to. That's fair. That is fair. I don't. 3D Pine Lab says, I'm in Sao Paulo. I think I'm saying that right. Sao Paulo, Brazil. Cleaning my YouTube studio and enjoying the Making Awesome podcast live. Well, hey, I'm glad. I don't know what it is like to clean a studio. It's so tough, dude, to find time to clean. Ronnie says, at the end of the month, I'll drop some Dutch guilders. Oh no, it's euros. Okay, it will be euros. Snow pesos. What is that? 50 cents American, Griffin says. Oh, you guys are great. You guys are great. I really do like our community. You guys are really awesome. Justin Miller says you could spend $50 at Aldi and get enough food to last 10 days. Easy. It's not going to be fun food, right? But you can get it to last a while. Part of the deal is you don't go shopping when you're hungry. Part of the shopping is you don't go. Yeah, part of it is you don't go shopping when you're hungry, because that's dangerous. That's really dangerous. Don't go shopping when you're hungry. Anyways, budgeting. It is something that you need to be conscious. Oh, he said he couldn't spend $50 at Aldi's and get enough food. Oh, well, I can. Aldi's great for that. Sorry, I didn't read that. Great. Sorry. Yeah. Budgeting is tough. It's tough. And you have to remember what you're worth. At the end of the day, you're worth more than you think. I don't believe I'm worth $150 an hour, but I have to be, because I've been doing it for 15 years. My time has got value to it. And yeah. Justin Miller says I spend $500 a week at Aldi for a family of 7. Well, I have a family of 1.5. That's it. It's myself and the cat. So yeah. Oh yeah, 4 teenagers. Yeah, no, you're done. You're gonna spend a lot of money, but I don't know what to tell you there. Hey, that's where budgeting is important, right? So yeah, guys, at the end of the day, look at those numbers and say, is this enough? Ask your client what their budget is. You use these to set expectations to help estimate what things are going to cost. You use this to make accountability for both parties so that they don't scope creep without you getting paid extra. You use it as a method to get paid. And when you don't want to do a contract, get it all in writing no matter what. Because the last thing you want to do is spend a bunch of time on something and not get paid for it. Because you kind of need to. Your time is worth more than you think it is. And if you're not charging accordingly, then you won't be able to afford the bare necessities in life. Your clients understand this. And if they don't, they're not good clients. Remember that these are regular people too. And if you need to have a conversation with them, do it. Have a conversation with them. Keep in good communication with everybody. That is your team, your clients, and even more importantly, yourself. Be more in touch. Because when you lose touch, it's tough to get it back. Mike from Never Let Machines Win says, tough to find a client to pay you to clean your space. Yeah, dude, that'd be great. Where's the sugar daddies that like to clean? Really, it's not even cleaning. A lot of it is just organizing. And my vacuum is broken. I need to fix that. It's been like 6 weeks. I need to fix my vacuum. It's been clogged. And I got to go get a shop vac to unclog my vacuum. But I got to I got to find the time. And I've been spending a lot of time reevaluating our business recently and looking at the jobs that we want versus the jobs that we've been getting. And what are we doing to get the jobs that we want versus the jobs that we end up getting? And how do we change those jobs that we are getting into jobs that we want? Those are all really good questions. So, yeah. Chris Catless has to eat a multimeter. There's a joke that I have well over a dozen multimeters, and I can't find any of them. So I bought more. Because I don't know where they are. One can never have too many multimeters. But I've just accumulated so much shit over the years that I need to just I need to take some time and organize, but with a bad back, I am always scared of doing it because I have to be able to budget for my time to do other things. You win some, you lose some. And when it comes to organization, I'm probably going to have to pay somebody to help me because I don't want to hurt myself in exchange for being hyper organized. I think a lot of it is, and I'm sure this is common for a lot of us, it is a system and implementing said system. And if that system is for budgeting, for organization, for selling, for marketing, for advertising, for something, that is how you build systems, man. And those systems are what enable you to be efficient. And I think because I never had a system for my organization, it just kind of got out of hand, and I've never really taken the time to fix it. Courtney from Filament Stories has offered many times to help out with this. And if Courtney ever finds herself in Tampa, or I have the ability to pay for Courtney to come here, I will absolutely do it because Courtney, one, Filament Stories, come on. She knows how to organize filament. If nothing else, she can organize filament. But I've seen her systems, and they are amazing. And I think I just need someone to help me build a system. But I think a lot of it is also I need to separate my home and my business. And I am thankful that I have a little bit of land where I can do that. And I think that the shipping container will force me to build a system as I stock it full of materials. We'll see. That is the end of year goal, man. That's end of year goal for us. Not only is it 100,000 subscribers, it is also, more of, this work-life balance and work-life YouTube balance and being able to produce really cool stuff for you guys. So stay tuned for what we're doing. Be careful with your budgets. I want you guys to really focus more on setting those expectations accordingly with not just your customers, but yourself and your team. That's the big one. All right. I got to go. I got a place to be in an hour, so I got to go get that taken care of. So I thank you guys for coming out. This one, as they always tend to, get a little bit weird toward the end. You guys learned a lot about my personal life that I probably didn't want to discuss, but we went through it, so whatever. We're here. I'm glad that you guys stuck around. Thank you to Cordell and who was the other one? I forget names. Cordell and Mr. Johnny Rocco for your guys' donations. Thank you very much. It's greatly appreciated. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Get out there, make some cool shit. I will see you later. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. Season 3, episode 33. Leave a like. Take care.